Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. I am Chad, the Reseller Rockefeller. Today, I'm actually just shipping out all of my orders this morning, but I wanted to do a quick video. A couple days ago, me and another reseller, we were communicating, through via, email, and we were talking about shipping and all that good stuff. This reseller is somewhat new to reselling. I think he's been in the reselling business now part-time for about 4 weeks. So I would consider him to be extremely new to reselling. He just recently, had an account with eBay. Now he's opening a seller's account with Amazon. And I've just been helping him, just kind of guiding him along, showing him a few things, talking to him. He reached out to me, and like I said, I'm always down to help people. I'm always down to answer questions. But one of the big things that he wanted to talk about was shipping materials and the cost of, how to figure out how much it costs for you to ship an item. So, for somebody like myself and for most of you out there that are resellers, it's really hard to determine how much it costs to ship each individual item because it always varies. I might be shipping, today I'm shipping out tons of big items. I got this really big camping backpack. I got like 3 or 4 DVD VCR combos. I got an Xbox going out. I got a small camera going out. And then I got, 10 or 15 different pieces of jewelry. So each one of those items are drastically different in size, shape, and weight. And the amount of shipping materials used on each one of those items is going to be a big difference. So it's really hard to track your shipping cost when you're talking about the shipping materials. Now, for some companies that ship, say, the same exact thing over and over, let's say, a company that sells, let's say, one of these tape dispensers, they can figure out exactly how much they spend on shipping materials to ship each individual tape dispensers. And that's actually really good. But for people like us that sell just a huge variety of items, it's hard to do that. So basically what I do is I just try to ship the item for as cheap as possible. Now, remember, we're not talking about the actual shipping cost. We're just talking about how much it actually costs me in shipping materials. And the way that I do this is I try to do my best to get my shipping materials as cheap as possible. Even though I want to use really good quality stuff, I try to get it as cheap as possible. And the cheapest is free. So most of the times, when it comes down to shipping material, I get most of my shipping material and supplies absolutely free, other than the tape. And every now and then I will buy a thing of bubble wrap, but I don't really use this kind of bubble wrap all the time. I use the bigger clear bubble wrap. This is from Uline. And I also use packing peanuts most of the time because packing peanuts is a lot cheaper and it's a lot lighter, so it'll save you on shipping cost. Say you're shipping a vase and the vase is inside of a 10 by 10 by 10 box. If you used nothing but bubble wrap, it's just going to cost you a little bit more in shipping materials versus using packing peanuts. So you got to kind of figure out the best method, and over time, you're going to learn different ways. You're going to learn how to ship items certain ways to make sure it doesn't break. It all depends on the item, but what it really boils down to is you getting your shipping materials as cheap as possible. And I tell people this all the time. You need to get relationships with local businesses, places like medical facilities, doctors' offices, small, offices that receive tons of inventory on a regular basis, or maybe they ship tons of inventory on a regular basis. Whichever one, there's tons of businesses out there literally throwing away tons of really good, usable shipping materials every single day. It's just your job to find those places, go in and intercept those shipping materials and start using those shipping materials for yourself. Now, the way that I've done it in the past is I've just simply walked into a business and I just said, hey, I'm a local reseller. I live right up the road. I use shipping materials a lot. I don't really have the funds to buy the shipping materials, and I would rather get the shipping materials from someplace and recycle them and put them back into use. Do you have any shipping materials? And they said yes. They showed me what they had. And then I just formed a relationship with them and basically explained that if they saved all of their shipping materials, I would come by once a week on any day that they choose, and I would pick those shipping materials up. It would save them a trip to the dumpster. It would save them time, energy, all that good stuff. And it worked. And I now have numerous different relationships with a couple of different businesses that every week I take one trip to one of those businesses and I get a ton of shipping material. And the medical places are really good because the kind of stuff that they get are in really good boxes. I'm talking about boxes that would cost me $4 to $7 a pop. I get them for free. Also, they use like really good air cushions, the packing peanuts. Everything is going to be top of the line, really high-end packing materials. So if you have any local little medical places, DaVita, Fresenius, any of those kind of places, they really have good shipping materials. And I can guarantee you, if you're able to walk in there and talk to the manager or anybody, you're going to be able to score a deal. And as long as you're nice and you're polite and you explain yourself, I don't think that you'll have any problem getting free shipping materials. So basically, I buy tape. I buy every now and then I'll buy a roll of bubble wrap. And then sometimes, obviously, I buy boxes and things of that nature. But usually I use my eBay, promotional discount coupon for shipping materials. And I'll get the smaller boxes because those are the boxes that I don't like to buy. So I usually get those smaller boxes. But other than that, I use a lot of priority, flat rate boxes. I use a lot of priority free boxes. So you have to really start to kind of, build your business and hone your craft when it comes down to shipping. Shipping is a really big problem with newer resellers because it's kind of hard to understand. It's kind of hard to get in the swing of things. But once you start to ship out some items, you'll start to realize that it's not as hard as you think. And the more time and energy you put into learning all of the different boxes, flat rate boxes, regional A, regional B, first class, FedEx, using pirate ship and FedEx also, you'll start to hone your craft and you'll get better and better at shipping items. But the number one thing that I tell all resellers is learn how to save on shipping materials, because that's going to really affect you overall in the long run, and it can affect you a lot more than you actually think. I've actually personally have seen, newer resellers where they spend just way too much money in shipping an item. I once was at a friend's house. He's a fellow reseller. He's been in the business, for probably 6 months, 8 months. He lives right here in Gainesville. He's actually a friend of mine. And I was watching him pack and ship a Game Boy, a vintage Game Boy. Now, if you're a reseller and you know what a Game Boy is, it's small. It's lightweight. It's small. I understand that you don't want it to break. But, he was putting it inside of like I think it was like a 7 or 8 inch by 5 or 6. It's probably like a 7 by 7 by, 12. It was a pretty good sized box. And he used a bunch of bubble wrap. He used a bunch of packing peanuts. He just overpacked the item. I mean, to the point to where, he probably had, with the box, the bubble wrap, the tape, the packing peanuts, he probably had at least $1.50 to maybe even $2 in this one item, depending on how cheap he got the box. But let's say, for instance, the box was 40 to 50, maybe even 80 cents. He's just, spending too much money to ship an item. Now, granted, that item is a Game Boy. It is an electronic, but you don't have to go overboard. And, that might not be the best example, but I've seen other people do other things, shipping a small little vase. Instead of using packing peanuts, they're using a bunch of bubble wrap. So bubble wrap, obviously, it really does make you feel like the item is going to be extremely protected when you put, 10 layers of bubble wrap on an item. But in all actuality, the item is less safe when you use nothing but bubble wrap. If you were to just wrap it one time with bubble wrap and then stick it in a box with packing peanuts and then put that box inside of another box, you're going to be more safe than you would be if you used one box, maybe a slight bit bigger, and used nothing but, bubble wrap. It's just little tricks that you're going to learn over the period of reselling. Over the years, I've learned so many different tricks when it comes to, packing and shipping, making boxes, how to double box an item properly. That's another really big issue that I see, even fellow resellers on YouTube. Obviously there's not one set way to ship an item, but there is definitely a bunch of wrong ways to ship an item. And I've seen ton of YouTubers, fellow resellers, double box a very expensive item that's fragile, and they do it incorrectly, and it can definitely get broke. Maybe later on down the road, I'll make a good video detailing how to double box an item, but there's already tons of videos on YouTube. There are some really good ones, some really expert packers and shippers. We're talking about people that are actually paid to ship, $30,000, $40,000 items, and they talk about the physics and all of that, the actual science into double boxing and shipping a very expensive item. So just go to YouTube and type in how to double box or how to ship a expensive item. I think the video that I watched years ago was a guy actually shipping a really expensive vase. But he goes through detail by detail on how to double box an item. And so, there's just numerous different things that you need to think about. But like I said at the beginning of the video, shipping materials is a big thing that you can't overlook. I see so many resellers, they get into this business and they're like, I'm going to run out to Home Depot, Office Max, I'm going to buy, bubble wrap, I'm going to buy packing peanuts, I'm going to buy my boxes, and they start selling stuff on eBay, and then 5-6 months down the road, they still haven't switched up where they get their shipping materials. They don't buy in bulk. They don't go online to get them. Some people, yes, they go online to get their shipping materials, but I still see a ton of resellers going to these big box stores and buying their shipping materials where, it just costs more money. Now, some places you can get deals on certain items, like Walmart. Walmart is, their boxes, obviously they don't have a huge selection of sizes, but if you go into Walmart and you price the smaller boxes and some of their, middle to medium boxes, you will actually see that those boxes are cheaper than probably anywhere else. I'm not sure what kind of deal Walmart has with the manufacturer, whoever makes those boxes, or if Walmart's making them themselves. But for some reason, it's really hard to compare their prices, depending on the size of the box, with anybody else. They're really cheap. So anyways, I know I ramble on a lot, but I just wanted to talk briefly about shipping. I don't want to go into details on, certain things, but I just wanted to talk briefly about the cost of your shipping materials. And I want everybody to understand that you have to pay attention to those things because it can really cost you. And it's one of those things that kind of goes unseen. You just, you're selling items and you're shipping items out every day, and you don't really pay attention to the cost of your materials, the cost of your tape, your packing peanuts, your, whatever it is that you use to ship items. And it's one of the most easiest things to just overlook, and then it will come and bite you in the butt later on down the road. You'll start to think, how am I not making enough money on these items? I thought I bought the item for this price and I'm reselling it at that price. After my eBay fees and PayPal fees and shipping cost, why am I not making enough profit? And if you look deeper and you actually investigate, most of the times it's because you're not looking at your shipping materials and you're spending too much money on them. So hope that helps somebody out there in the reselling world. Mainly, that's going to be for all of you, newer resellers, most of you veteran resellers and resellers that have been in the game for a little bit. You've already established how you pack and ship items, how much you're spending on shipping materials and all that good stuff. So this video is towards mainly beginner resellers, people that just started reselling. Other than that, folks, I really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for coming and watching another video. I am going to finish packing and shipping all of my orders, and then I actually am going to do some listing today. I got a big day ahead of me, so let me get back to work. Until next time, folks, I'm out of here. Peace.